So, first of all, welcome, all and sundry, and we're going to apparently welcome you a few more, we hope. My name's John Broom, I'm the chair of the SIG, so thank you for coming along. Why you came? Well, this is on the flyer, why you came. Why do we think almost every project manager should have a knowledge of contracts and procurement? Well, basically because in a world of increasing complexity, where very few organisations, if any, can do it all, they're going to be outsourcing. That means they've got to procure stuff, they've got to have contracts in place. That means as project managers managing those sub-projects, those bits which make up your project, you need knowledge of contracts, you need knowledge of law, you need knowledge of procurement, etc. You don't necessarily need to be an expert, but you need to have to do it properly. Yeah? And if they're a major part of your project and you don't do it properly, then your project is potentially. Okay? So we're going to talk about modern developments in contracts and procurement. We're then going to get onto the 7-stage procurement model, which is nothing rocket science, etc. It just breaks down into it and small things that highly effective project managers hopefully will do. Oops, I seem to be on a loop. There we go. Right. What's the agenda? Well, the agenda follows the 7 stages. So we're going to have the introduction of the guide. So this is me talking, yeah, and I'll give an overview on modern developments in procurement, etc. And then you can see the 7 stages from 2 to 8. So the concept and feasibility, as an overview, is about the business case and is this project viable. And in essence, we don't think you can assess whether a project is viable if you're going to be outsourcing lots of it, unless you've got some procurement and input about how you're going to outsource it. Is the market got the capability to do it, capacity to do it, etc., and so on. So you've got to have that input into the business case there. The project procurement strategy is about how you break down a project into packages which might have very different characteristics. Yeah? So you might have a time-dominated package within a least cost-dominated project because it's on the critical path. Yeah? So that might mean that for that package you have a different contracting strategy, the next one, the package contract strategy, compared with the other packages in that project. Yeah? So having broken it down into discrete elements which match the characteristics of the supply chain, the providers to provide it, you then say what's the best way of letting this as a big picture letting role. Okay? Having done that, you prepare the contract terms and the requirements. So the requirements are the word we use for the technical spec, if you like. And you want the actual contract itself, the conditions of the contract, as well as the technical spec, to comply with, to correspond with, to be in alignment with the actual contract strategy. And the number of times I've seen people not brief their consultants properly, and then you end up with a contract which doesn't reflect what's gone on in the previous stages. I'd be quite well off, I suppose. Aligned with that, so this is sequential, but obviously some of these overlap. You select the provider and award the contract. How are you going to do that? And again, it comes down to the nature of the contract. Okay. Manage and deliver the contract is about managing it, and then you're going to need to think about contract closure, which is bringing the contract to a finish in terms of the administration, etc. Handing over the asset and getting it up to speed operationally, but also what happens after there in terms of maintenance, etc. So that's the overview. That's the intended readership for there. Project procurement professionals. That's both project managers. It might also be more conventionally trained project procurement professionals who've been trained in how to procure widgets and see everything as how we commodify everything, because that's what we've been trained to do. Yeah, right. Not as bad as they used to be, but we think projects are different from widgets basically, and therefore a bit more complex. So, a little bit about me before I get on to the next bit. I'm chair of the SIG. I have my own company which consults primarily on what the terms in the guide, package contract strategy. I love that, the big picture stuff, how to align motivations and so on. Preparing the contract terms, which can be from writing the actual conditions of contract to working with the technical people to get the ideal blend of it's technically right, it's contractually right, and it's in plainish English so that non-experts and non-contractual people can understand it and what they've got to do. Training I do a fair amount of, and dispute avoidance. Ideally, it doesn't get to being a dispute, heading it off. Resolution and also a little bit of expert witness cases. My home sector is engineering and construction, but I've done stuff which you can read out there, yeah, and I might use some of those as examples. Okay. On that point, though, while every sector is unique and has its unique challenges, etc., and so on, my experience of working in different sectors is that the trick is to pull out what is unique, and then actually the processes and principles bear remarkable similarities. Okay. So, what is procurement? Procurement is the process by which, this is the 5th edition knowledge. I'll let you read it. Yep. I like the fact that it's the bottom paragraph. I personally think, top bit, procurement of goods and services only, not quite, doesn't quite cut the ice with me. And then if we look at this one, for the 6th edition, they've left out what procurement is in terms of what you do. It's just products and services now. Yeah. Which, well, does that really apply to projects? It's a bit sort of simple, bland, etc. So, why is procurement important in a project environment? As I said before, in major projects, 80 to 90% of the cost could be outsourced, contracted out. Yeah. So, having the right organisations on board to deliver something, having the right people on board with good contracts in place, kind of important, yeah? Okay, do we get that? Kind of important to your project success. And research shows that good procurement decisions can have just as much effect on delivering projects to time and cost. And somewhere in here, I've got a slide on that. A project manager can only manage a project when it comes to actually implementing it through the cards they're dealt, yeah? And that card is effectively the contractor you've got, or the provider you've got, the contract you've got. So, shouldn't a project manager interested in the success of the contract they're running be involved earlier on? Just a thought. Yeah. Right? Because otherwise you get the situation where, oh, that was procurement, yeah. Chuck it over. Oh, it failed because of implementation. And you get these organisations who make the same mistakes time and time again because procurement and implementation aren't actually talking to each other. So, contract managers about how you play them. Procuring at a higher level. One of the things that we've seen, so this is about developments, one of the things we've seen is that people are procuring at a higher level of outcomes, if you like. So it used to be in construction, people basically designed everything, and here is the design, Mr. Contractor, go away and build it. And I've designed everything. And it's obviously absolutely correct. Not quite yet. Okay. What they found was that A, it wasn't absolutely correct and specified, and B, that actually often the experts are not necessarily the contractor who you're contracting with to build it, it's the subcontractors who were doing it, and they had their unique ways of doing things, etc. and so on. So what people started to move into was, well, actually do design and build. And that might be an outline design and functional specifications, but as buildings have got more complex, you start moving into performance specs. So I want a room with this much ventilation requirements, and I can define it as a number. So you also get in heavy engineering pure process specs. I want a power station which produces X megawatts at Y% efficiency, to British standards or whatever, go away and building it. So next level up. But sometimes people say, actually, I want a capability. Yeah. In terms of I want a business function. So it might be I not only want some sort of I actually want a customer service requirement, yep, capability. So actually for you, I don't care. Here are the things I want. I want phones answered in half a minute. I want customer retention to go up from them to buy things, etc. Go away and do it. Now that might mean building a building, it might be outsourcing it to India or whatever, yeah? But it's the capability people are buying. And there might be projects to put that in capability in place. But actually sometimes you're going up to benefits, the level of stakeholders. So this is why we're covering, one of the reasons why we're covering the business case, because people are starting to cover or contract out at that level. Now benefits can be a bit wishy-washy, so they're normally translated down one level into success criteria. Okay, which are more tangible, measurable, descriptive but very well described outcomes arranged on a ladder. Those are developments in procurement. You're also getting an expansion of the project life cycle. Yeah. So if anybody's from nuclear, you're looking at decommissioning, etc., and so on, and the whole life costs. Because we've realised that decommissioning nuclear costs quite a lot, so we need to take account of that, yeah? But it could be other sectors as well. The other aspects, technology and society get more complex. That means that no one can do it all. That means you need to bring in specialists. You might be bringing in specialists when you know you want something like that, but you don't know exactly what you want. So that could be for a framework or a program of projects which take you towards an ill-defined goal, but you define it more as you get there and let it as a series of projects. But it could be, actually, I want to work with you and work with you I need to look at your culture, and I actually need to know your technical capabilities, and that's what I'm going to select you on. Because I can't give you something to price. Yeah? So selection includes culture and capabilities. Contracts therefore need to align motivations, because if I can define something and say get on and build it and it's not going to change, I can adopt a hand-off approach. But if it's going to change and evolve, we need to align motivations. So we need to think through the risks, the changes, etc., and have contracts which allow us to manage and create alignment. So therefore, one of the reasons why we published this guide was because we think procurement should cover projects, procurement of sub-projects, which may make up, or packages which might make up 90% of an actual project. Yeah? And we didn't think the literature was out there. So, next slide. What's up here? Ooh. So, given this, these developments, just a quick thought for you, as this appears somewhat more slowly than I anticipated. That's the APM Body of Knowledge, 6th edition thought. So, a little reflection exercise. Say hello to people on your table if you haven't said hello to them before. Yeah? And in one or two perspectives, share your perspective on whether you think, given what I've said, you could say, bloody rubbish, that's a valid opinion. Yeah? Do you think that's a valid definition of procurement in a modern world, in a project world? So it's yes, no, because, one or two sentences, yeah? Okay, so thoughts? Is that an up-to-date definition? Oh, we've got the lawyer accusing me of a leading question. Right, yeah. I argued that this. I won't go into the politics of it, but basically, I argued that this definition is 2,400 plus years out of date, because Bob Stones, who contributed to the guide and isn't here today, he wrote he did a Greek at university and then became a procurement professional. So in his retirement, he wrote a book about how the Greeks procured projects. Yeah, so they procured projects. The contracts they found on tablets of stone. Yeah. Dealt with change, etc., and so on. So my argument would be this is 2,400 plus years out of date. So anyway, there we go. This is our definition of procurement. It's the process by which benefits, yeah, success criteria, enhanced capabilities, function or performance or resources, goods or services required from, yeah, or by a project or program are required. So notice we're not saying portfolio, because I think that's a bit too high for what we're looking at, but it certainly could be a programme of projects through a framework. It includes the package breakdown structure, so how you decompose the project into packages, and then for each package, the development of and implementation of the contracting strategy, contract documents, including the technical requirement, process and evaluation of criteria, sectional scope, leading to the effective management and administration of the contract. Okay? And there's a difference between management, which is where you're project managing, we're the Association for Project Management, and administrating, which is doing the month in, month out things which the contract requires. Okay? And there's, so very quickly, before we go on, a quick definition of risk. So risk is a source of uncertainty, and if it occurs, will have an effect on defined objectives, with a level of uncertainty associated with an individual risk being a combination of probability and the impact straight consequences. Not controversial, okay, but principles of risk allocation and sharing are absolutely essential, in my view, to the whole procurement cycle. Yeah. So think about, now I originally developed this as a contract strategy. So I'll go through this and then I'll say where else it was. Think of the effect of a risk occurring, an opportunity or a threat on a business organisation, and the rule. Their ability to bear it. So the rule is don't allocate a negative risk to a party who will go bankrupt if it occurs, because after a long argument it will just revert back to you. Yeah. But it can be that a relatively small bonus for achieving something actually for your project might be quite small on your total expenditure, but the effect on their profit margin can be very great, in which case they become highly incentivised to deliver that. The danger is they become over-incentivised, but consider it, yeah? The best way in construction, the mantra is, who can best manage a risk? Well, actually, all things being equal, and I have a clue what that means in practice, who can best influence it happening, either preventing it or the opportunity happening, I think takes precedence over how do we react to it, yeah? Who can minimise it, the impact if it does occur, all things being equal. And then clarity over the above for minor risks, especially frequently occurring ones, okay? Now, but it also, so that's affects at contract strategy, allocating risk, yeah? But it also affects preparing the contract. You don't want to, you want to make sure that your big picture, risk allocation, incentivisation, etc., isn't undermined by the people who actually go off and do the technical detail. So you need to brief them. It affects at pre-QQ, so pre-qualification stage, eliminating those without the financial capability to bear the risk given your project size. Yeah, they might be technically great. Yeah, but they'll go bust if something happens. Yeah. But also, have they got experience of it, of doing similar stuff? Yeah, which leads you to believe that when it comes down to the specifics, they can deliver. At ITC stage, you're basically saying, give me your project-specific proposals for what I want. And a lot of it is about, give me confidence. Give me confidence that you can deliver, yeah? And during the contract, you want to make sure that risk allocation isn't undermined by what John phrases as gotchas, yeah? Where either deliberately, or sometimes they just happen, people go, oh, crikey, actually we can change the risk allocation of the contract because this party hasn't done something, or they've said this and we've recorded it in a certain way, etc. And suddenly the risk is transferred when under the original contract it was on the other party. So risk pervades all of procurement and management.